Looking at progress on and projections for interoperability between major supplier technologies. How difficult is it for you to all sort of work together in this area?
It really hasn't been that difficult. Our customers are asking for it. They want it. So we've also all have been involved in that ISO. There's actually 3 different pieces that they're focusing on. So the first is the file format. So you have a common file format that everybody can use. And then it gets into a radio, a communication. And then this last one would be the RTK format. And the OEMs are all engaged. The belief maybe is by the end of this calendar year that there may be a standard in place, but it's been ongoing because you've got so many different entities into it. So it's progressing and it will eventually get there.
So in terms of the advantages, if any of tech being integrated by machine OEMs, what are the key advantages for customers? And that's what it has to be all about, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. When you start looking at technology, certainly new technologies, it typically starts in the aftermarket. OEMs are looking for consistency, looking for reliability. To take a lot of chances is not something an OEM wants to do out of the gate. So a lot of technology starts in the aftermarket. And then as adoption increases, then the users start to say, hey, you know what? I'm using it. I want to use it all the time, but I want this to come from the factory. So the OEMs then start to make that move. That whole process takes a long time and over the years. Now where we are, technology has a tremendous impact on the success or the productivity of a customer on a job. It used to be that it was all about the machine. In reality, technology can have as much or actually more impact than just the machine itself. So the OEMs are certainly embracing now, getting into it. And once an OEM is on board, it truly validates the technology. And then the other thing that OEMs can do is they can really manage the workflow a lot better. And the market for us is so large, and the adoption really is, at this point in time is so low, it's good.
To what extent can BIM be extended to smaller projects? Is this something that the sort of small to mid-sized customers are asking for? How long will it take for this BIM modeling to be much more used on the sort of small to medium projects?
BIM is a workflow around models, from the planning to the design to the building and to the maintenance afterwards. Those are typically around large projects, large contractors, because they're tracking all of that. But for the smaller contractors, a slimmed down version is there. We all are developing these simpler systems where somebody can go off and take our tools, they can go out and they can create their own design. They can create then a model from that, and they can put it in the machine, they can actually do the work, and then they take that off and they can go validate it. They're creating a digital twin. They're documenting what they built, just like the larger contractors are, but not with all the additional resources, with all the additional costs that go into it. And so while it doesn't produce all the extra data, it produces what is key for those smaller contractors.
Yes, and I think that's crucial, isn't it? It's got to be a good bang for their buck, so to speak. It has to pay off. There's no point investing in the full-on BIM modeling if it's not suited to your project, your application. I'd like to move on next to talk about the practical extent of current autonomous operation and on machine control. What are the barriers to further adoption? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, the reasons for autonomous vehicles is legit, and it's here. From a standpoint, it's hard to get people to come into our industry. It's certainly extremely difficult to get skilled labor, skilled operators. It takes a long time for them to get up to speed. So it's there. There's other factors to make it practical. Performance has to be better than what you're getting today. And early on, any technology starts off slow and has hiccups here and there. And so you get a push to implement it and get that going. As far as its safety, regulations are a big barrier, not only for what we're seeing on a construction site, just even with cars. You look in the automobile industry, Tesla, in 2007 said by 12 they'll have fully autonomous cars on the road, and here we are, 11 years later, and they're still trying to get through it. So that's just something that the government, I think, is really going to have to step in. There's got to be some change in regulations.
Moving on to data capture, obviously all this technology we're talking about generates vast swathes of data. How far are we off from you getting instant data in the operator cab? They can react very, very quickly to this. So there's the analytical data, but there's an immediate benefit. What's happening in that area in terms of machine control and operability?
Actually, that's happening today. So the machines are connected to the office is connected to the machines, and that data can pass back and forth. To take it to the next level is it's got to be connectivity between all parties. So as from a standpoint, you got your machine to machine, machine to office, you need to have the machine or the connectivity to the subs, you need to have connectivity to the engineers. So as things are going along, if there's a change order, that instantaneously is getting out to the field so that you're not doing a couple extra days or a day or two of work that's not right, because rework means you did it wrong the first time. So if you make sure you do it right the first time, you're eliminating those, which again minimizes your carbon footprint. And then I think with that data, if you're connected in real time, so you have that connectivity, it's not just about what they're doing in the office with it, but how do they integrate that within their whole system within the company. So if it gets into their planning and scheduling, so that it automatically updates in real time the schedule, okay, then everything is on track. You're not always behind the eight ball or doing things that late in the game. So I think that integration and that connectivity are key pieces to make this real time, that you're getting the useful data.
Sure. And what's the sort of the key safety benefits as you see them on the potential for site safety of adopting the very latest and future machine control technologies?
Customers, they're asked about what are their top concerns. Safety is always one of the top 2 or 3 items. So from a customer standpoint, it's very high. From the autonomy standpoint, you're creating all these sensors. Now, with those sensors now can be used to create bubbles around the machine. And so in reality, safety can come before autonomy, because autonomy has a lot more things. And so now the move towards it, though, is benefiting the safety side. So now we'll be able to go off and actually create safety systems, put those in place, I think, before we get to these fully autonomous vehicles on a job site. It's got to be a push from more than just us or the equipment manufacturers to get there.
What role will AI play in machine control technology? Because AI is, chatbots, we're writing about it all the time now in the construction world, the quarrying world, this is now coming in. What do you see as the next steps, and what role will AI play in machine control technology?
While there's certain regions, certain people that are utilizing this technology, it's very low. It's a continual education is key for the adoption and the productivity gains and everything else that we need to see. I think another thing is from the government side, there's really no incentive to go off and invest in technologies. And other countries in Europe, in Japan, they actually invested money. They gave them money to invest in the technology, because when people start to use it, they see the success, then they build onto it. And I think that has to come from the government. So I think that's a key thing that we need to work on. And on the AI, it's new. There's a lot of thing there. There's a lot of potential and a lot of unknowns. Yeah, it is a buzzword. And whether it's Wall Street, whether it's our industry, everywhere, AI is there. But it's definitely going to be a key piece down the road.